So in the previous video we have just started our chapter number 6 and we are at example number 6.3, which is a circular coil of radius 10 centimeter, 500 turns and resistance of 2 sigma is placed with its plane perpendicular to the horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field. It is rotated about its vertical diameter through 180 degree in 0.25 second. Estimate the magnitudes of the EMF and current induced in the coil. Horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field at the place is 3 into 10 raised to minus 5 Tesla. Initial flux through the coil, that is phi b is equals to Ba cos theta, that is 3 pi into 10 raised to minus 7 Weber. Final flux after the rotation, that is phi b final is minus 3 pi into 10 raised to minus 7 Weber. So therefore the estimated value of induced EMF is n into delta phi delta divided by delta t. So it is 3 pi plus 3 pi, that is 6 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. 500 turns है, so 6 pi into 10 raised to 7 divided by 0.25 second का difference, so it is 3.8 into 10 raised to minus 3 volt. So current is sigma upon r, that is 1.9 into 10 raised to minus 3 ampere. Note that the magnitudes of sigma and I are the estimated values. Their instantaneous values are different and depend upon the speed of the rotation at the particular instant. 6.5 Lenz's law and conservation of energy. In 1834, German physicist Heinrich Friedrich Lenz deduced a rule known as Lenz's law, which gives the polarity of the induced EMF in a clear and concise fashion. The statement of the law is the polarity of induced EMF is such that it tends to produce a current which opposes the change in magnetic flux that produced it. So the polarity of induced EMF is such that it tends to produce a current which opposes the change in magnetic flux. So जो magnetic flux का change है वो उसको क्या करेगा, oppose करेगा किसको, जो current produced हो रहा है उसको. The negative sign shown in figure 6.3 represent this effect. We can understand Lenz's law by examining experiment 6.1 in section 6.2.1. In figure 6.1, we see that the north pole of a bar magnet is being pushed towards the closed coil. As the north pole of the bar magnet moves towards the coil, the magnetic flux through the coil increases, hence current is induced in the coil in such a direction that it opposes the increase in flux. This is possible only if the current in the coil is in counterclockwise direction with respect to an observer situated on the side of the magnet. Note that the magnetic movement associated with this current has north polarity towards the north pole of the approaching magnet. Similarly, if the north pole of the magnet is being withdrawn from the coil, the magnetic flux through the coil will decrease. The counter this decrease in the magnetic flux, the induced current in the coil flows in clockwise direction and its south pole faces the receding north pole of the bar magnet. This would result in an attractive force which opposes the motion of the magnet and the corresponding decrease in flux. What will happen if an open circuit is used in place of closed loop in the above example? In this case too, an EMF is induced across the open ends of the circuit. The direction of the induced EMF can be found by Lenz's law. Consider figure 6.6a and b. They provide an easier way to understand the direction of induced currents. Note that the direction shown by N and S indicate the direction of the induced currents. A little reflection on this matter should convince us on the correctness of Lenz's law. Suppose that the induced current was in the direction opposite to the one is shown in figure 6.6a. In that case, the south pole due to the induced current will face the approaching north pole of the magnet. The bar magnet will then be attracted towards the coil at an ever increasing acceleration. A gentle push on the magnet will initiate the process and its velocity and kinetic energy will continuously increase without expanding any energy. If this can happen, one could construct a perpet perpetual motion machine by a suitable arrangement. This violates the law of conservation of energy and hence cannot happen. Now consider the correct case shown in figure 6.6a. In this situation, the bar magnet experiences a repulsive force due to the induced current. Therefore, a person has to do work in moving the magnet. Where does the energy spent by the person go? This energy is dissipated by Joule heating produced by the induced current. Example number 6.4. Figure 6.7 shows a planar loop of different shapes moving out or into a region of a magnetic field which is directed normal to the plane of the loop away from the radar. Determine the direction of induced current in each loop using Lenz's law. So यहाँ पे 3 figures दी गई है. First figure is coming in and second and third figure is going out. So first, the magnetic flux through the rectangular loop ABCD increases due to the motion of loop into the region of magnetic field. The induced current must flow along the path BCDAB so that it opposes the increasing flux. And second, due to the outward motion, magnetic flux through the triangle loop ABC decreases, due to which the induced current flows along BACB so as to oppose the change in flux. And in figure 3, as the magnetic flux decreases due to motion of an irregular shaped loop ABCD out of the region of magnetic field, the induced current flows along EDABC so as to oppose its change in flux. Note that there are no induced current as long as the loops are completely inside or outside the region of the magnetic field. Example number 6.5. A closed loop is held stationary in the magnetic field between the north and south pole of the permanent magnets. Held fixed, can we hope to generate current in the loop by using a very strong magnets? A closed loop moves normal to the constant electric field between the plates of a large capacitor. Is a current induced in the loop when it is wholly inside the region between the capacitor plates, when it is partially outside the plates of the capacitor, and the electric field is normal to the plane of the loop. A rectangular loop and a circular loop are moving out of a uniform magnetic field region to a field-free region with a constant velocity v. In which loop do you accept the induced EMF to be constant during the passage out of field region? The field is normal to the loops. So here we are having the figure 6.8 and the D. Predict the polarity of the capacitor in the situation described by figure 6.9. So first, however strong the magnet may be, current can be induced only by changing the magnetic flux through the loop. So the given statement is, answer is no. Second is, no current is induced in either case. Current cannot be induced by changing the electric flux. C. The induced EMF is expected to be constant only in the case of the rectangular loop. In the case of circular loop, the rate of change of area of the loop during its passage out of the field region is not constant. Hence, induced EMF will vary accordingly. The polarity of plate A will be positive with respect to plate B in capacitor. Now 6.6, that is motional electromotive force. Let us consider a straight conductor moving in a uniform and time independent magnetic field. Figure 6.10 shows a rectangular conductor in PQRS in which conductor PQ is free to move. The rod PQ is moved towards the left with a constant velocity v as shown in the figure. Assume that there is no loss of energy due to friction. PQRS forms a closed circuit enclosing an area that changes as PQ moves. It is placed in a uniform magnetic field B which is perpendicular to the plane of the system. If the length RQ is equals to X and RS is equals to N, the magnetic flux phi B enclosed by the loop PQRS will be phi B is equals to BLX. Since X is changing with time, the rate of change of flux phi B will induce an EMF given by sigma is equals to minus d phi B divided by dt is equals to minus d by dt into BLX. So BL is the common quantity, constant quantity. So it is minus BL divided into dx by dt. Dx by dt is nothing but the velocity. So answer is BLV. Where we use dx by dt is equals to minus v, which is the speed of the conductor PQ. The induced EMF BLV is called motional EMF. Thus, we are able to produce induced EMF by moving a conductor instead of varying the magnetic field, that is, by changing the magnetic flux enclosed by the circuit. It is possible to explain the motional EMF expression in equation 6.5 by invoking the Lorentz force acting on the free charge carriers of conductor PQ. Consider any arbitrary charge Q in the conductor PQ. When the rod moves with a speed v, the charge will also be moving with a speed v in the magnetic field B. The Lorentz force on this charge is QVB in magnitude and its direction is towards Q. All charge experience the same force in the magnitude and direction irrespective of their position in the rod PQ. The work done in the moving the charge from P to Q is W is equals to QVBL. Since EMF is the work done per unit charge, sigma is equals to W divided by Q is equals to BLV. This equation gives EMF induced across the rod PQ and is identical to equation 6.5. We stress that our presentation is not wholly rigorous, but it does help us to understand the basis of Faraday's law when the conductor is moving in a uniform and time independent magnetic field. On the other hand, it is not obvious how an EMF is induced when a conductor is stationary and the magnetic field is changing, a fact which Faraday verified by numerous experiments. In the case of a stationary conductor, the force on its charges is given by F is equals to Q into bracket E plus V cross B is equals to QE. Since V is equals to 0, thus any force on the charge must arise from the electric field term E alone. Therefore, to explain the existence of induced EMF or induced current, we must assume that a time-varying magnetic field generates an electric field. However, we hasten to add that electric fields produced by static electric charges have properties different from those produced by time-varying magnetic fields. In Chapter 4, we learned that charges in motion can exert force or torque on a stationary magnet. Conversely, a bar magnet in motion, or more generally, a changing magnetic field can exert a force on the stationary charge. This is the fundamental significance of the Faraday's discovery. Electricity and magnetism are related. Example number 6.6. A metallic rod of 1 meter length is rotated with a frequency of 50 revolution per second, with one end hanged at the center and the other end at the circumference of a circular metallic ring of radius 1 meter about an axis passing through the center and perpendicular to the plane of the ring. A constant and uniform magnetic field of 1 Tesla parallel to the axis is present everywhere. What is the EMF between the center and the metallic ring? So here we are having the figure. So method 1, as the rod is rotated, free electrons in the rod move towards the outer end due to the Lorentz force and get distributed over the ring. Thus, the resulting separation of the charges produce an EMF across the ends of the rod. At a certain values of EMF, there is no more flow of electrons and a steady state is reached. Using equation 6.5, the magnitude of the EMF generated across a length dr of the rod as it moves at right angles to the magnetic field is given by d sigma is equals to bv dr. Hence sigma is equals to integration d sigma integration 0 to r bv dr. So b into omega r dr, so omega r square divided by 2. Note that we have used v is equals to omega r. This gives omega is equals to sigma is equals to 157 volt. And the next is to calculate the EMF. We can imagine a closed loop OPQ in which point O and P are connected with a resistor R and OQ is the rotating rod. The potential difference across the resistor is then equal to the induced EMF and equals B into rate of change of area of loop. If theta is the angle between the rod and the radius of the circle at P at a time t, the area of the sector OPQ is given by pi r square into theta into divided by 2 pi, that is half into r square theta, where r is the radius of the circle. Hence induced EMF sigma is equals to B into differentiation d by dt into half r square theta. So half into br square d theta by dt. So this expression is identical to the expression obtained by method 1 and we get the same value of sigma. Okay, so we will just stop here. In the next video we are going to start with example number 6.7. Thank you.